Did you know that the average child gets 6 to 8 common colds a year and the average adult gets 2 to 4 common colds a year? Did you also know that chicken soup has been a common cold remedy since the 12th century? Now, I haven't had a cold in over a year, but my time is coming, and when it does, I'll be ready, because today we're making chunky chicken noodle soup. I don't know about you, but I like my soups hearty. Even bites of vegetables, noodles, and meat. One of my favorite classic soups is a gumbo. I love it for all those flavors, the seafood, the okra, but another reason why I love it is because of the texture. So basically what I did was take the cooking techniques for a classic gumbo, but implemented them on the classic chicken noodle soup ingredients. Let me explain what I mean. For those of you that know a thing or two about gumbo, that means we will be using a roux, which is a mixture of flour and butterfat. This mixture is a classic thickener for soups and sauces. So as the flour granules are cooked and heated up in this butterfat, they release starch, which is what is going to thicken our sauce. Now for a gumbo, this is normally cooked to something like a dark brown, and it can go for up to like 45 minutes. But for our purposes, we're just gonna be doing a pale roux, which is just gonna be done for a couple minutes until it kind of smells like a nice pie crust. So once we have that roux, we're gonna come in with the classic onion, carrot, and celery. But for my purposes, I also like to add in a parsnip, which is kind of like a more aromatic carrot. And then I do like to add in the pungency of garlic, which is also really good if you are sick and making this soup. Good soup starts with good stock, which you guys should have homemade if you saw my last video. This is the one from that video, and if you can see, it's got so much more body or gelatin once it's cooled compared to something that you can buy at the store. It's got this kind of gelatinous texture to it, which is really gonna give us some nice thick soup as well as additional flavor from all those bones in there. And I'm telling you, once you have fresh stock, this one just got done this morning. I made another one just for this recipe. It's just so tasty. Lastly, we gotta come in with some wine for sweetness and acidity before adding some more fresh aromatics like thyme. Well, now that you have the basics down, I think it's time to make this chicken soup. Also, I don't even know why I got this shot. I don't really even drink wine. It's time to prepare our mise en place, which basically means just cut everything up. So get your metal bowl for scraps, peel your parsnip, peel your carrot, cut up your parsnip, cut up your carrot, cut up your onion, cut up your celery, and cut up your garlic. I basically do one part of each vegetable in a medium dice. Now we're gonna grab some leftover roasted chicken if you have any. I didn't have any, so I had to make more. But what you wanna do is just cut this up into similar size, and I like using both a little bit of white meat and dark meat, and I do 2 parts chicken, whereas we did 1 part of all the vegetables. Add 4 tablespoons or about 52 grams of butter to a saucepan and let this melt and bubble a little bit so it cooks off some of that excess water. Then come in with the same amount of flour by weight, so that's 52 grams or about 7 tablespoons, and then we're just going to stir this until a light sand mixture forms. Cook this mixture for 2 to 3 minutes until it starts to smell like a light pie crust. Be careful not to burn it, and now we can throw in all of our vegetables. Here I also like to add just a little pinch of salt to help everything sweat down, and then you're going to let this go for about 10 minutes, stirring it occasionally. After 10 minutes, pull out one of those vegetables and just take a bite one. It should be slightly softened, but should still be a little bit crunchy. And now we're going to pour in our chicken stock and that nice glug of white wine. Mix the stock and white wine until it's combined, and then you're going to blast the heat up and bring this to a boil. As soon as it boils, we're going to toss in our thyme, and you can turn down the heat to low and let this simmer. Set a timer for 30 minutes to make sure all that starchy kind of flavor and texture cooks out of the soup, and you're left behind with a creamy, luxurious feel. While that's simmering, let's talk noodles. I like using an egg noodle for this. You can use kind of this wide style, the matchstick style, or this kind of pastina pasta if you want to. For my money, I like using the thin matchstick style egg noodles. As per usual, boil the noodles in a pot of heavily salted water and just do like 3 to 4 minutes, whatever the package says. After 30 minutes of the soup simmering, it should be nice and creamy. A quick little benchmark test that I like to do is just dip in my back of the spoon, and then when it's nice and thick on the outside and it doesn't feel gritty or anything when you taste it, you know you're in a good spot. Now just remove that bundled up thyme, toss in our noodles and our chicken, and let's talk about seasoning. So now's the time when you gotta come in with salt and fresh ground pepper. So we haven't really added any salt sources to this other than a little bit for the vegetables, and we did it on purpose because with soups, if you add too much salt on an earlier stage, you can't really go back. You'll have to make more soup to dilute it or something like that. So that's why I say try to save your salt and pepper till the end, because then you can just mix it up and make sure you have something really nice. And you could do this with acid too, if you wanted a little bit more wine, or you could put in some vinegar or maybe a little bit of hot sauce. But if we give this a taste, first of all, the texture is awesome. The roux is perfectly just kind of thickened up everything a little bit, but not too much. You really get the wine and the thyme and the fresh herbs and then all those vegetables in there. But it definitely is missing salt, and it definitely is missing a little bit of that bite from pepper. So what I like to do is just start in with a decent pinch or two of salt, and then I like pepper, so I probably use a little bit more than the normal person. And really just stir this up and make sure it gets dissolved before we taste it again. And that salt just really brings everything up a level that we really need to focus on towards the end of this. But this is tasting really, really good. I'm gonna plate this up in some warm soup bowls and throw a little bit of a garnish on top. There is just something special about a bowl of soup. Humble ingredients combined to make something very, very delicious. Chicken noodle soup is one of those must-makes in the kitchen, especially when you're making a roast chicken. It's so easy to transform it into a completely new dish. Perfect for the fall and winter coming ahead. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed. I'm gonna finish this soup and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.